Why did Marvel Rivals ban Winnie the Pooh? That's a good question. That is actually a rather good question. I imagine the majority of normies might look at that and go, what? Why Winnie the Pooh? Out of all creatures on this good earth of ours, why him? Well, China is the answer. You see, years and years ago, a bunch of Chinese revolutionaries decided to start making fun of their supreme leader, was Xi Jinping, is that his name? By calling him Winnie the Pooh and comparing him to the famous British childhood figure. The Chinese Communist Party did what communist parties do best and cracked down upon it, banned it, and outlawed any mention of it. And Marvel Rivals, of course, is a Chinese game. And this isn't the only thing they've banned either. They've also banned talk about Tiananmen Square, about Taiwan, about Free Hong Kong, anything and everything that goes within the communist Chinese censorship playbook. As I don't think I need to really point this out to anyone here, but China, not actually our friend, not actually our ally, and my God, I get it, right? See, I'm not going to make any argument about banning or boycotting Marvel Rivals. I'm not, because frankly, I don't give a shit anymore. Marvel Rivals isn't a massive success because of the game in and of itself. It's a fun enough game, but at the end of the day, it is an Overwatch clone by and large. The only reason why it became such an enormous success as it is because of the retarded complacency of the West, the refusal to compete, the destruction of Overwatch games like Concord, etc., to the point now where all the Chinese need to do to outcompete the entirety of the Western games industry is to make attractive characters, both male and female. That's the thing. In Marvel Rivals, all of the characters look good. The male characters look buff, classic heroic proportions, an art form we've seemingly forgotten about in the West, which is ridiculous. I have complained so many times, and will complain so many times in the future, about how DC had the Bruce Timm style, one of the most easily recognizable cartoon styles in Western cartoon history, right? In animation history. It rivals manga in terms of cleanliness, style, and recognizability, and they have steadfastly degraded it every year since. And Blizzard, of course, is the same thing. Blizzard had a chokehold on the hero shooter market. They practically invented the damn thing with Overwatch. They popularized it, and they threw it out with the bathwater. The baby out with the bathwater. They ruined it. This was their battle to lose, and they did. So I'm not going to blame China for seeing an opportunity and swooping in. I'm going to play the good game. If China's like, hey, I see you're being abused by the Western games industry, would you like a cool female character fighting superheroes? Yes. Yes, I would. Thank you. Simple as. Now, as I mentioned previously, the hope is that this will not become the big thing. Hopefully this will be a catalyst for Western gaming to go, ooh, we're gonna lose this, aren't we, unless we start thinking about this seriously. And for not for the companies, for the nations as well, because here's the thing, a lot of the corporations, they do woke shit because there are grants for it. ESG nonsense, for example, equity, social governance, and so on, they give you money if your product is sufficiently woke. That's why a lot of these companies do it. Dustborn is a wonderful example of that, which got money not only from the European Film Institute, but also the Norwegian. Anyways, on the basis of it being a modern-day political commentary, of it being diverse and inclusive, the nations of the West need to do a 180 on this and go, no, we're not going to give you money anymore for including black characters. We are going to give you a lot of money, however, if you somehow manage to squeeze in a commentary on Tiananmen Square. If you can somehow force that in there, we'll give you cash. because China has been waging a war against the West now for decades, but it's been primarily an economic one. Only very recently, in the last 5 odd years, has China begun to realize, hold on, the West has lost almost all of its cultural influence. We can actually swoop on in now with minimal effort by just making some cool action movies or some nice looking games and actually gain enormous popularity. And obviously, we are going to add in our values into them, because at the end of the day, they're not making Marvel Rivals simply to be a profitable video game. That is obviously a pretty nice bonus, but they are doing it because this is a way for them to win. This is a way for them to become the new America. In the same way that the US established itself as the cultural hegemon in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, and so on, China is now seeing an opportunity to do the same. And with access to the internet, it can do so far more rapidly and convincingly than the US could. If we just get like 5-6 years of Marvel Rivals and Black Myth Wukongs, that will become the new standard. That will become the Call of Duty. We'll have Marvel Rivals 5, Final Conflict Edition or whatever, Black Myth Wukong 14. In the same way that we have many Call of Duties, many Final Fantasies, and so on, because these became cultural institutions in their own right. But now, the ones we still have are dying rapidly. Diablo? What? A point-and-click MMO adventure game? I don't really care about that. World of Warcraft? Not really either. Overwatch? Heavens help me. I heard that the Valve MOBA thingy as well, Deadlock, apparently started failing rather massively too with the release of Marvel Rivals. And having seen that game's roster of characters, I am not particularly surprised. In an environment where its only competition was Concord, then sure, having a roster full of utterly repulsive characters isn't going to be that much of a problem. But when your competition is going, hey, would you like to see Sue Storm with massive hips and an ass? It's no longer going to be quite so simple, now is it? And that is where it has to change. I see no point, no purpose whatsoever, again, to try and launch any kind of a boycott against this. This is something that needs to change on a societal level. Me, you, or 1,000 other people going like, oh, I don't want to play Marvel Rivals because of Hong Kong, ain't gonna do shit. Because the market is too large. The majority of video game users today are random-ass normies who have never visited a video game site in their life for other things than to see an update on the latest Call of Duty. And most of them, again, are nowhere near involved in the culture war, and China itself is viewed by most normies to be like this vague, nefarious thing in the distance, which might cause questions like this. Why did they ban Winnie the Pooh? I just don't know. This needs to be a cultural shift, rather than a user boycott or anything like that. Especially because even if we managed to somehow do so, we'd be fighting a losing battle. All we'd be achieving by propping up the bad Western games contra the actually interesting Chinese ones is continue to have the Western game industry be shit. It's a losing battle. The only way this can change is if we encourage the Western games to become good, for them to do Marvel Rivals as well instead of China. And it shouldn't even be that difficult. Bear you in mind all of the restrictions that Chinese game developers are working under, all of the censorship they need to bake into their games, the fact that they literally cannot have blood in them. It shouldn't be difficult at all for Western games to massively and easily outcompete the Chinese entertainment market. All they need to do is start making video games again, rather than inclusivity simulators. Ugh. Oh well, at least this'll keep me in business for the next 5 years, right? And it'll be nice to complain about China instead of progressivism for a change. Hey, I can even launch into a proper study on Chinese history and how it came to be this way and the many ridiculous crimes of Chinese communism. Ooh, a video series on the war in China by the, various warlords and the Japanese invasion, the Sino-Japanese War. Now that would be fun, but I am getting ahead of myself. Until next time, I have been Arch. Thank you very much for watching, and I do hope to see you all again soon. Till then, have a good day.